The time for polite silence is over. We ask this forum to stand with us for justice, equality, and repair.
He stressed that the African Guyanese community has been systematically marginalized and remains disproportionately at the bottom of the economic and social order.
That Afro-Guyanese currently are better off than they have ever been in the history of Guyana now.
The AG stressed that more Afro-Guyanese are pursuing education now than at any other point in Guyana's history.
So Guyana just got called out at the United Nations. Vincent Alexander from IDPA-DAG, that's short for International Decade People of African Descent Assembly, Guyana. They really need a shorter name, accused the government of marginalizing Afro-Guyanese and seizing ancestral lands. Attorney General Anil Nandlall fired back, called it political, said the government's investing in everyone. Education, housing, jobs. And those land issues, he says they're being handled legally. But if everything's so inclusive, why is this still making noise on the international stage? Is this justice or just good PR? Should the UN even be involved? Who truly owns land that was never fairly given? Like, subscribe, and drop your take. This convo isn't cooling down anytime soon.
While Minister of Labour Joseph Hamilton spoke of national progress and inclusion in Guyana, the chairman of the International Decade for People of African Descent Guyana, IPADG, Vincent Alexander, strongly rejected those claims, calling for global attention to the ongoing marginalization of Afro-Guyanese citizens in the country. Alexander, during his address at the fourth session of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, blasted Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton on the world stage, who at the opening of the event told the forum that amid rapid economic growth, the Guyana government has been taking decisive action to advance development and reduce poverty, geographic disparity, ethnic insecurities, and inequality in the country. Alexander called the minister's presentation to the forum, quote-unquote, hypocritical, telling world leaders that the same minister has publicly blamed the people of African descent for their present state, even though they have been robbed of their resources, and whose government is not taking any equitable actions to address the state of people of African descent.
The time for polite silence is over. We ask this forum to stand with us for justice, equality, and repair.
He stressed that the African Guyanese community has been systematically marginalized and remains disproportionately at the bottom of the economic and social order, with education, land rights, entrepreneurship, and political representation, all of which reflects an exclusionary posture by the current administration.
Ancestral lands acquired through the historic village movement are being seized without compensation through institutional and legal manipulations.
He added that after more than 20 years, the Human Rights Commission in Guyana is still to be constituted. He further stressed that the Guyana government has been at the forefront of calling for reparatory justice, but in Guyana, it has done very little to repair the internal legacies of enslavement.
The government of Guyana, whilst vocally supporting reparations abroad, as was done here today, has not implemented a single dedicated national policy to repair the internal legacies of enslavement. Instead, African Guyanese are blamed for their circumstances, demeaned by public officials as lazy or unworthy.
Hours before Alexander addressed to the forum, Minister Hamilton addressed the gathering, stating that this session provides an opportunity to advance reparatory justice in the digital age, specifically to the development of Afro-Guyanese, and also noted that Guyanese within a multi-ethnic society remains a top priority for the government.
We have embarked on a transformative agenda which is rapidly changing the economic and physical infrastructure of the country. This is deliberately matched with initiatives that ensure greater inclusion and participation of all citizens.
Speaking on his weekly program, Issues in the News, the AG defended the government's record, arguing that audits would show significant socio-economic improvements for Afro-Guyanese. The debate comes at a time when issues of representation, equity, and historical narratives are at the forefront of national discussion, raising questions about the country's commitment to justice and progress. The AG stated that if a forensic audit was conducted, it would reveal that Guyanese are now living better than ever before. He expressed this without fear of contradiction and invited any debate on the matter.
That Afro-Guyanese currently are better off than they have ever been in the history of Guyana now.
The AG stressed that more Afro-Guyanese are pursuing education now than at any other point in Guyana's history.
Afro-Guyanese are receiving more lands and they own more properties from the state than they have ever received or they ever enjoyed at any other point in Guyana's history.
The AG emphasized that the concept of ancestral lands does not exist in land ownership or in Guyanese law and has no place in the country's historical evolution.
It is a recent creation that now forms part of the racist lexicon, and it's a recent fabrication.
On Tuesday, during his address at the fourth session of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, Alexander blasted Labour Minister Joseph Hamilton, who earlier told the forum that amid rapid economic growth, the Guyana government has been taking decisive action to advance development, reduce poverty, geographical disparity, ethnic insecurities, and inequality in the country.
The time for polite silence is over. We ask this forum to stand with us for justice, equality, and repair.